In a courtroom in Florida, what seemed like an ordinary hearing suddenly turned into a major legal battle. The judge tried to silence Pam Bondi, but no one could have predicted how the entire courtroom would freeze within minutes, or that a scandal would erupt, one that millions would soon be talking about. With her composure and legal expertise, Pam Bondi was about to step into a fight that would go down in history not just in that courtroom, but in front of the entire nation. So, what tactic was used against Pam Bondi? And more importantly, how did she turn the situation around? Watch now, because this incident is far bigger than you think. Pam Bondi walked into the courtroom with confident strides. Black handbag in hand, she stood tall and resolute, just as always. She was there for what was supposed to be a simple commercial case, but the way Judge Alan Whitmore looked at her made it clear. This day wouldn't go as planned. Just moments before the hearing began, the judge fixated his eyes on the small gold cross necklace hanging from Pam's collar. Leaning back in his chair, an unsettling silence filled the room. Then his voice echoed through the courtroom. Judge Whitmore, Attorney Bondi, religious symbols are not permitted in my courtroom. You'll need to remove that necklace. A murmur rippled through the room. Journalists looked up from their notes and the spectators began whispering. Pam didn't flinch. She locked eyes with the judge and replied in a calm but firm voice. Bondi, Your Honor, this isn't just jewelry. It's an expression of my faith. It's a constitutional right. The judge's brows furrowed. His voice grew harsher. Judge Whitmore, this is a courtroom. It must remain impartial. If you refuse, I'll fine you for contempt of court. The entire room froze. Pam slowly placed her bag on the table and clasped her hands together, but she didn't back down. Pam Bondi leaned back in her chair, not as a sign of relaxation, but as a signal that she was ready to strike. Judge Whitmore had challenged her, but Pam Bondi was not someone who backed down easily. Bondi, Your Honor, how does a cross around the neck of a person of faith compromise the impartiality of this court? That's not what this hearing is about. So why bring it up? Why now? Whitmore's eyes narrowed slightly. Pam's defiance unsettled him, but he wasn't going to retreat so easily. Whitmore, this is my courtroom, Attorney Bondi. I set the rules, and it's my duty to ensure this court remains neutral. Pam tilted her head slightly, suppressing a knowing smile. Exactly the reaction she was waiting for. The judge was now on the defensive. Pam Bondi. Is that so? Then let me ask you, Your Honor, does the American flag hanging behind your bench compromise neutrality? Or the gavel on your desk? Because both of those represent ideals and authority. The murmurs in the courtroom grew louder. Whitmore's brows furrowed, his jaw tightening. His authority was being challenged, and he didn't like it. Judge Whitmore, this discussion is over. If you break the rules, you'll face the consequences. This is your final warning. Remove that cross or be penalized. Pam took a deep breath. Now things were getting serious. Everyone in the courtroom was locked into this exchange. The journalists scribbled furiously, and the stenographer didn't take their eyes off the screen for a second. Pam leaned forward slightly, locked eyes with Whitmore, and spoke in a low but piercing tone. We can debate who's truly in contempt here, Your Honor, because right now you're directly defying rulings by the U.S. Supreme Court. If you enforce this penalty, it will be appealed, and you'll be the headline across the nation. And this time, it won't be my story making the front page. It'll be your mistake. Judge Whitmore's face flushed red. He pressed his lips together and fell silent for several seconds. Pam's words echoed through every corner of the courtroom. She sensed her move had struck a nerve, but she knew she had to land the final blow. Pam Bondi, allow me to remind you of legal precedent, Your Honor. In Tinker v. Des Moines, the court ruled that personal symbols cannot be banned in public institutions. And in West Virginia, State Board of Education v. Barnett, it was made clear that suppressing individual beliefs is a constitutional violation. If you enforce this punishment, you won't be defending it here. You'll be defending it in a higher court. The silence in the courtroom now was even heavier than before. Whitmore's hands were now clenched tightly on the edge of the bench. Pam's voice was no longer just addressing him. It was directed at the entire courtroom, the journalists, the attorneys, even the jury. This was the point of no return. The judge would either back down and risk his reputation, or double down and find himself at the center of a national scandal? Whitmore clenched his jaw. A few tense seconds of uncomfortable silence followed. Everyone in the courtroom waited, breath held, for his decision. Pam calmly folded her hands on the table, keeping her gaze steady on the judge. Pam Bondi, if you choose to enforce this penalty, Your Honor, it won't just be my case. It will set a legal precedent. And I guarantee you, I will bring this to the highest court in the country. So what's your decision? Whitmore's hands trembled slightly. If you continue to disrupt this courtroom, Attorney Bondi, I will have you removed from these proceedings. It was a bluff, and Pam knew it. Judges could maintain order, yes, but they couldn't expel a lawyer without legal grounds. She took a deep breath and answered without hesitation. You can remove me from the courtroom, but you can't erase this conversation from the record. The press is here. The stenographers are here. Everyone questioning your impartiality will hear every word. So I'll ask you again, Your Honor. Do you stand by this penalty? Whitmore's eyes drifted to a blank spot on the wall. It was clear. He was backing down. He exhaled slowly and finally gave a slight nod. The contempt fine is dismissed. And in that moment, Pam Bondi didn't just win a courtroom battle. She won a legal war that echoed across the nation. This incident quickly escalated into a national issue. The media picked up the story and legal experts jumped into the debate. Some praised Pam Bondi's courage, while others argued the judge was simply doing the right thing. But one fact remained unchanged. Pam Bondi stood her ground and forced a judge to confront a violation of the Constitution. And this wasn't just a victory in a courtroom, it was a message for everyone. Protect your rights. Don't stay silent. What do you think? Was Pam Bondi in the right, or was the judge? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. See you in the next video. Take care.